There's never enough room on your coffee table. I feel like that's just a rule in life. And it's even more true when you try to play games in your living room. Now, of course, there's always the option of just going out and buying something new, bigger, or better, but if you're anything like me, you're not made of money. Besides, what are you supposed to do if you're in the middle of a game of Settlers of Catan and it's time to take a break and watch a movie? No, I've got a better and cheaper alternative for you. We're going to build a removable game caddy to extend the tabletop and to even protect and pack away our board games. And before you ask, yes, there are detailed step-by-step plans available with measurements in both metric and imperial. The link is in the description below the video. I'm building this for a friend of mine, and he's chosen to have it made out of red oak. It's a strong, good-looking, and relatively inexpensive hardwood. Of course, if you're making this for yourself, you can choose anything from the cheapest lumber that you can find at your local home center, all the way up to the finest walnut or exotic hardwood lumber. After getting most of my material prepped and roughly cut to size, I followed my plans and cut my 45-degree mitered corners. Now, the sides of this caddy need to have grooves cut into them for their half-inch plywood top and base. Annoyingly, half-inch plywood is never truly half an inch, which is why I employ the method you see here to find the perfect size. Take a piece of the plywood that you'll be using and stack up your dado set until you find the perfect fit. And before someone gets upset that they don't have a dado set, you can do this with a router and a straight bit, with multiple passes, with a normal table saw blade, or even with hand tools if that's the way that you roll. I cut a quick test piece and checked the fit before moving on to working on my actual parts and pieces. Here's another trick for you. If you don't want to measure for your plywood panels, clamp your parts together without glue and use 2 pieces of wood to find the exact dimensions that you need. Tape them together and voila, you've got a custom measuring stick for perfectly sizing your plywood. A quick chop with the track saw or with your circular saw and a straight edge, and everything was roughly cut to size and ready for a custom engraving with my Acmer P2 laser. This thing worked beautifully, and its built-in camera made locating my engraving an absolute breeze. If you want to take a look at getting one for yourself, I've got a discount code and links in the description where you can save yourself up to 30% on your order. I always prefer to cut my panels to size after I've done my engraving. This is to make sure that if I make a mistake and put the engraving a little bit off center, I have room to compensate. You know, it's the little things that make life a whole lot less stressful. Seriously though, I was about to find out that I had made a big mistake. With the top and bottom panels cut to their final sizes, I glued up my top panel and went to preparing the caddy base section to have its bottom panel installed. And this is about when I realized my mistake.
Okay, here's some real talk. There I was, I've got the top all engraved, everything like that. So I started working on sanding the inside of the base here and was thinking to myself, all right, so just one more piece of plywood to cut down. This one here, I've got to be really careful with because the other one was the blank piece. And so this one has the engraving. And then I realized what I did. Engraving is supposed to be on the top. It's supposed to be on the lid. And I put the blank one on the lid, and I've got my meticulously, carefully engraved one right here. I don't have any other clean sheets of plywood, and either way, it doesn't matter because the top is glued up. There's no way back. And so what we're going to do is the client's going to get a 2-for-1 as far as the engraving goes. It's just going to be 2 engravings, and I had to really, really hope that the engraving I'm working on right now comes out perfect because there's no trimming it, there's no moving it, anything like that. And so that's why right now I had to move my laser back out of place, and there it is right there. My Acmer laser is hard at work, and hopefully everything is going smoothly.
I dodged a bullet here. Everything worked out perfectly, and it was time to dedicate one side is up so that I could ensure both engravings would face the same direction. Again, details matter. So, after masking the inside of the caddy to minimize cleanup later, it was time to glue and brad nail the bottom panel into place. While I'm here making some adjustments to get the case and the lid to line up properly, something I really shouldn't have needed to do had I followed my plans a little more closely, I figure now might be a good time to ask you if you'd consider subscribing to my channel, giving this video a like, or even sharing it with your friends. Anything that you can do to help this channel grow is greatly appreciated and keeps me motivated to keep on making these videos for you to enjoy. Now, for hardware, I'm keeping it pretty simple by using a D handle, some butterfly latches, and some rubber feet. I'd never used butterfly latches like these before, but I have to say I'm a big fan. I love the way that they can pull everything tightly together when everything is closed up, and at the same time, they neatly fold away against the side of the caddy when it's time to play a game. Same thing with these D handles. Not only are they completely functional, but they also stay out of the way really low profile to the case when not in use. Here you can see I'm clamping an off-cut piece of plywood to the side of the caddy while I drill these holes, and really all that is for is to make sure that there's no blowout on the inside, because, you know, when we've gotten to this step, I really didn't want to have to deal with tear out.
This step here, these feet are inset. Okay, this table is actually bigger than the coffee table, and we've got a ledge that we need to elevate this over. Feet on the bottom here are so that when it's sitting upright on the floor, behind a couch, or wherever it gets stored, that the latches are not scratching everything. Okay. At this point, I need to work on these splines.
Making splines on a box this size is fairly advanced and probably an unnecessary technique. With the base glued to the caddy sides, it's unlikely that the glued miters would fail, and realistically you could always drill through the miters and glue in dowels for added strength. But let's face it, woodworkers love overkill, and I love the chance to add something pretty to my work, which is why I'll be making my splines out of walnut, to contrast with the oak that I used everywhere else. The challenge with splines is threefold. 1, keeping everything in place while allowing you to safely cut in your splines. 2, ensuring the grain on the splines runs across the miters and not with them in order to get your maximum strength. And 3, getting the splines to the exact same thickness as the blade's kerf. My drum sander made this easy, but you can also use a planer hand plane chisel or sander for this too. Well, now, if you're one of those people that has made it through to this point in the video, then you are an absolute rock star. So let me know how awesome you are by telling me in the comments, what kind of gamer are you? Are you more the traditional Monopoly type player? Or are you more into games like Settlers of Catan and that kind of thing? Let me know in the comments below. While I was busy with the rest of the build, my 3D printer had been making some small right-angle pieces that would help guide the lid into place. I used some super glue and a prayer to get them into position before fastening them to the top with screws. Then, after a little sanding and breaking some edges, it was time to take all the hardware off, set up my spray booth tent that definitely didn't take me 30 minutes to figure out how to put together, and then I applied a few coats of General Finishes high-performance water-based polyurethane to prevent the oak from getting that, 1990s kitchen cabinet golden color. And that was it. The client glued some foam on the underside of the lid to keep his game intact when he's moving the caddy around, and honestly, It works great. Their coffee table's now bigger when it's needed, game pieces aren't flying everywhere anymore, the top can be set in place as a temporary table during family movie night, ready to easily be removed to keep on playing, and everything can be quickly picked up and set to the side when needed. Frankly, I'm really proud of what I built, and my friend loves it too. Remember, you can make your own one of these caddies using the detailed step-by-step plans linked in the description, or you can get 30% off an Acmer 48-watt laser engraver using my code and links below. Now, wherever life finds you, it's time to make sawdust, not excuses.